Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. We're just going to get started in another minute or two to let people who are logging in to be with us and have everybody settled in. So we'll get started in another minute. Thanks.
Never heard anything. It just says waiting for Broadcom Masters. Can anyone hear us? Oh, they can hear us. Okay.
Okay, we're going to get started. So, congratulations, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. A nomination to BCM, Broadcom Masters, is a huge honor. We are glad you have taken the next step in the Broadcom Masters process by opening your application. I'm Parsh Bavishi, Program Manager for the Broadcom Masters, and I'm here with Erin Cummins, my colleague.
Hi.
We are responsible for the BCM program, and you will receive emails from us throughout the application process. Today, we're going to give you an overview of the Broadcom Masters program along with some frequently asked questions, and then we will take some of your questions. This session is being recorded so that other students who cannot join us today can also hear this information. We want to show you that the application is not a scary process and can even be fun. We're always here to answer your questions, so email us at masters@societyforscience.org at any time. And you'll see that email on some following slides. Also, remember, there is no such thing as a dumb question. The judges do not see your questions, just myself and Erin, so do not worry about impressing us. If you're interested in learning more about our prizes or finals week itself, I encourage you to check out our FAQ page online, to watch the highlights video from 2016, which is also on our YouTube channel, and ask a parent to follow us on Facebook to learn more about it. If you have questions today, feel free to type them in the live chat box on the right-hand side of the screen. Erin and I will answer a few questions at the very end. Thank you.
So our agenda for today's webinar is first we'll cover what Broadcom Masters is, then we'll go over some of the frequently asked questions, and then we'll take some of your questions. So what is Broadcom Masters? If you're watching this webinar, chances are that you have already been nominated and have hopefully started your application. The Broadcom Masters, which is Math, Applied Science, Technology, and Engineering for Rising Stars, or Masters, is the premier national science fair-based competition for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. In order to qualify for the Broadcom Masters, a student must place within the top 10% in a society-affiliated science fair. 30 Broadcom Masters finalists have the opportunity to spend a week in Washington, D.C., showcasing their research projects and competing as teams in hands-on STEM activities.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about who is behind this program itself. Broadcom Masters is a program of the Society for Science and the Public, which is the organization that Erin and I work for. The Society for Science and the Public is a nonprofit dedicated to public engagement in the scientific community. The Society's vision is to promote the understanding and appreciation of science and the vital role it plays in human advancement, to inform, educate, and inspire. The Society does this in two main ways, throughout our publications and through our science competitions. Science News is the award-winning flagship magazine of the Society. It gives readers a concise, best-in-class overview of the most important science news from all fields and applications of science and technology. Science News for Students is the Society's award-winning free online publication dedicated to students, parents, and teachers, used by nearly 4 million visitors annually. Science News for Students is designed to be accessible and interesting to student scientists, connecting the latest in scientific research to in and out of classroom learning. The Society for Science and the Public also runs 3 distinguished science competitions. The first is the Intel International Science and Engineering Fair, which is the world's largest international pre-college science competition and is open to high school students. The Regeneron Science Talent Search is the nation's oldest and most prestigious science and math competition for high school seniors. Finally, we have the Broadcom Masters competition, which is the one that you've been nominating for. The Broadcom Masters competition is made possible by our friends and sponsor, the Broadcom Foundation. The Broadcom Foundation empowers young people to STEM literate, critical things, and college and career ready by creating multiple pathways and equitable access to achieve the 21st century skills they need to succeed as engineers, scientists, and innovators of the future.
So without further ado, we'll get started with some of our most asked questions. First of all, when must we submit our application? The application is due June 14th, which is a Wednesday, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So that means you have just over 2 weeks to finish your application. If you submit before June 14th, you can go back into your account and still make edits. If you have a team project, each team member must submit separate applications and answer each of the questions individually.
So let's say you have now begun the application process. You receive a message appearing that your password was invalid and you need help. This is usually due to an invalid Fair ID password. That's found on the back of your nomination booklet. Now, if you don't happen to have that, or you get stuck here and you get an invalid password, then you have to email us at masters@societyforscience.org. We need to know this information so that we can manually change this on our platform. And then once we change it, you can log in and see the rest of the application.
I was nominated by more than one fair. What should I do? If you were nominated by more than one fair, you should only select one fair password to use when creating your account. It does not matter which fair password you choose. You are asked in Part 1 whether or not you have been nominated by other fairs, and this is where you can let us know if you have been. Our judges do not see this data, but it's helpful for our tracking purposes and to give credit to both fairs. So if you are nominated by more than one fair, it does not give you a leg up in the competition. Everyone has an even playing field regardless of whether or not you've been nominated once or twice.
Moving on, let's say you get to the application and you can't find your school in the drop-down menu. Well, email us at masters@societyforscience.org. But you have to remember to give us the following information: the name of the school, the city, the state, and its zip code. Once you send us this information, we can verify and add your school to our registry. Then you will get an email confirmation letting you know that the school was added.
Now, this is an issue that we come across a lot on what you should include in your visual aid. So a visual aid can only be one single page PDF document. And when we say one page, we mean when it's printed on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, no more. If you upload more than one page, our evaluators and judges will not look at more than one page. So make sure to keep it to just one page. Things that you should include are data tables, graphs, charts, photos, and things that are relevant. Include things that will help our judges understand how you came to your conclusions. You may include captions to facilitate this understanding, but do not use this as an opportunity to write additional essays. Think of this as an opportunity for a judge to see your project since they cannot see it in person. Prioritize the most important graphs, charts, etc. if you have too many to fit on a single page. You can definitely add more than one graph or chart, but just make sure that the judge or evaluator is able to read it if you have more than one. You may not add links to additional websites or videos because the judges and evaluators will not be able to look at them. Graphs and tables will be distributed to judges in color, not black and white, so feel free to use color to distinguish between things in your graphs.
Moving on to science fair forms. What do I need? Well, once you get to this part in the application, you only need to submit science fair forms if you have worked on the following: with humans, vertebrate animals, or pathogens. If you have not worked with any of these things, you do not owe us any forms, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you do, then you would have to click whatever your project applies to and then provide us the appropriate forms. If you can't access your forms, then you can upload a letter that states you have approval to do the project from the fair and school that gave you the permission, and where the forms are at the moment. Lastly, you do not need to complete ISEF forms. Many of the middle school schools have their own forms to complete, and you can upload those versions instead. Within these forms, you do not need to send us any additional abstract information at all.
Trouble uploading documents. So the first thing that you need to do is to make sure that your uploads are in PDF form. Our system will not accept anything other than PDFs, no JPEGs, Word documents, or other types of files. So if you have a document that is not in PDF form, you'll need to figure out a way to convert the file into a PDF before you can upload it. There are several free websites on the internet, such as this one that we have put a link to. Also, if you just Google free PDF converter, you'll come upon several websites that can do this as well. Another option is if you have an image, you can paste it into a blank Microsoft Word document, and Microsoft Word allows you to save the file as a PDF. If you don't have a scanner, so let's say you had your parent fill out the parent permission form, but you don't have a way to scan it as a PDF, you can always take a picture of it and then convert it in the same way that you would convert another document into a PDF, and then upload it into our system.
So let's talk a little bit more about the top 300 masters. So around September 6th, we are going to announce the top 300 semifinalists. Also, semifinalist teachers receive a 1-year subscription to Science News magazine. Lastly, semifinalists receive special awards and prizes, including a subscription to Science News magazine, a 1-year subscription to mathematics software, courtesy of our partners at Wolfram Research, an invention journal, courtesy of the Lemelson Foundation, and more.
So what do the finalists receive? Our 30 finalists are announced on September 20th, and Finalist Week is in Washington, D.C. from October 20th to 25th. The finalists will compete in team challenges while in Washington, D.C., as well as present their research. In addition to receiving an all-expenses-paid trip to Washington, D.C., finalists also have a chance to win iPads, funds to STEM summer camps, grant awards ranging from $7,500 to the $25,000 Samueli Foundation top prize, and many more prizes.
So now we're going to take a few moments to look at some of your questions and try to answer them to the best of our ability. As you can see on the YouTube channel, there's a live chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. If you just enter your question in there, we will hopefully get to it and see what's up there.
There is a question about whether you can edit the application once you have submitted. The answer is yes. You can definitely continue to edit your application. until the deadline of June 14th at 8 p.m. If I am a semifinalist, do I need to submit anything more?
If you're chosen as a semifinalist, you do not have to submit any further paperwork.
That's correct. For the question, what did you learn from conducting and presenting your science fair project in Project Info? Is it asking about specific statistics that I learned or the bigger picture? With most of our questions about both your project and the essay questions, you can interpret the questions as you see fit. If you would like to talk about specific statistics, you can. If you want to talk about the bigger picture, you can. It's totally up to you how you want to answer those questions.
One additional comment is that once you finish your application, you must submit the application. Signing out of the fluid review system does not equal submitting it. You must click the button to submit your application once you're done.
What is required to have on your visual aid? How should it be formatted? On your visual aid, there's no special formatting, and there aren't even any special requirements. It's just things that you think the judges it would be useful for them to see. So things like graphs and charts. You can even reference those charts in your essay questions if you think that it would be helpful. So you can say, I saw this trend. If you look at graph 1 in my visual aid, you can see the trend there. So there really is no specific format or anything like that that you need to follow.
The next question I see is, how do we upload the parent permission form onto the application? There's a section within the application for parent permission slips. There will be a box to choose a file, a PDF file, to upload your parent permission slip. There you can choose the file that's locally on your computer to be uploaded into the application.
How long does it take for you guys to determine the semifinalists and finalists? So first, I just want to say that Parsh and I are not judges, so we do not do any of the determining of semifinalists or finalists. Our semifinalists are announced on September 6th, and then the finalists are announced on September 20th. Someone asks what the difference between the 30 and 300 are. So the 300 are semifinalists, or what we call our top masters. So they do not, they receive prizes and accolades, but they do not do any presentation of their research further. The 30 finalists are the ones who come to Washington, D.C., present their research, and compete in a series of hands-on challenges.
If my teacher is no way involved in the project, do I still enter their information? The answer is yes. You must fill out the teacher, science teacher, and principal associated with your school and project. If you have sent in an email to have your school added to our registry but have not heard back, please send us another email. It may take us some time to get through all the questions, but as long as you email us, or if you have not heard anything, let us know one more time. I can guarantee you we will get your school added to the registry as quick as possible.
Can you mess with the margins to add more information on the visual aid? Yes, you can edit the margins, you can remove them, as long as when you would print them on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, if you can still read your information clearly, then it is fine. Does the word limit have to be exact or no? So the word limits many of them are 250 words. So you can have less than 250 words, but you cannot have more. The system will not let you submit the page if you even have 251 words. So you cannot have more than 250 words. If I have a video file for the project, where is the best place to put in a reference? The answer is that you may not use the video anywhere. The judges will not look at it. They will only have a paper application, so they will never be able to see whatever video it is that you are referencing.
Why are there two places to put the results, the procedure and the actual testing? It may so happen that you might repeat some of your information on the project. One of the areas may ask you about the results from your project, and another section may want to know about how you attained those results. What was the procedure that led you to those results?
Will the visual aid be given to the judges in an online or hard copy format? They will be given in a hard copy format, and it will be in color. In the project information section, for choosing your category, do we have to choose the category that we chose for our school, district, and state fairs? The answer is no. You can choose whatever category you think best represents your project. We know that a lot of your fairs will have different categories than we have available. The reason why we have you choose a category is to make sure that we have the correct evaluator reading your project. So if you did a project in physics, we probably don't want a biologist reading your project. So that's why we ask you to assign categories.
Will the system accept maximum word counts for each response? Yes, you can write up to the word limit for each area. You cannot go past the word limit.
We've gotten a couple questions about how many nominees there are and how many entrants. So we don't know how many entrants there will be since the application closes on June 14th. I will say that last year we had a little over 2,300 applications. And the answer to how many students are nominated, again, we don't really know. We know that the top 10% of schools are able to, of fairs, nominate students. So the answer is the top 10% of students from affiliated fairs. If I use hazardous chemicals in my project, for example, ethanol, do I have to submit a hazardous chemical form even though my project was approved without doing so? So you should ask your science teacher what is considered a hazardous chemical. Most scientists would not consider ethanol to be a hazardous chemical. So for that, you would not need to submit any additional forms. But really, you should just defer to your teacher and ask. I mean, they should have caught you anyway if you were working with something dangerous, and you would have had to hopefully fill out the proper forms. But if you do have a question, you can always email us directly about your project, and we can help you work that out. But also just defer to what your teacher and your fair would approve.
Under career options, if there's not an option for your career choice, do you pick the closest option? Yes, I would say try to pick the closest option that you think best fits you.
If we have a website for the project that we are doing, can we give a URL? For example, I have my project ready as a product, so I want to reference my website. No, you may not give the URL anywhere. However, you can send a picture of your product in your visual aid, but the judges will not be able to visit your website at all. So there would be no point in giving us the URL since the judge would not be able to look at it. All right, we are going to give a few more minutes if anyone has any last minute questions. Otherwise, we'll wrap this up, so we'll wait just a few more minutes. If you have any more burning questions, feel free to submit them now. If you have a question that is specific to your project, feel free to email us at masters@societyforscience.org, and we will try to help you in any way that we can. Do control characters such as bullet points, exponents, etc. work? So if you have a project that you want to show us mathematical equations that have exponents, your best option is to include them in the visual aid because the system for typing will often mess up those characters. Even if you see them on your screen as being correct, there's a chance that when we print them off, that they will not appear the way that you would like them to appear. If your question is about if you want to list your procedure as bullet points, you can definitely do that. If you just want to add like a dash each time you have a new bullet point, you can do that, and that is absolutely fine.
There was a question on repeating the top 300 masters, top 300 masters. What did they receive? So some of them, the teachers, semifinalist teachers will receive a 1-year subscription to Science News. Semifinalists receive special awards and prizes, including a subscription to Science News magazine, a 1-year subscription to mathematics software, courtesy of our partners at Wolfram Research, and Invention Journal, courtesy of the Lemelson Foundation.
Is it okay to upload pictures of LaTeX code for complex mathematical equations? You can upload this as a picture, yes, in your visual aid, but you should not upload it in the essay question area.
Why do we need to add a designated parent's email address? Well, there's a few reasons for this. One, we would need the parental acceptance and permission for the project to be entered. In addition, it helps to have a parent's email added to the system just in case they can keep up with your application, receive our email updates, and have a general idea of the status of Broadcom Masters.
If I don't meet the minimum word limit, are the judges going to dock points? Absolutely not. The judges, it does not matter to them how few words you use, just as long as you are below that 250 word limit. We advise against maybe 1-word answers, but as long as you are below the 250 word limit, it's absolutely fine, and the judges will not dock points whatsoever if your answer is shorter.
So we've noticed that there's several questions on the judging process. Now, unfortunately, we can't really go into too much detail about how that's done. What's going to happen is that after a certain amount of time, closer to September 6th, we will announce the semifinalists. And that's when we will know, Aaron and myself will know, when the judges have picked the top projects to move forward.
What kind of tasks would we do while in Washington? So if you want to learn more about the challenges that the finalists do at Finalist Week, you can watch our highlights video on YouTube. If you, in YouTube, type 2016 Broadcom Masters highlights video, you'll be able to find that video, and the finalists talk about their experiences, and you get to see some footage of the activities that they went through. There have been a couple questions about bibliographies for both the visual aid and certain essay questions. For the essay questions, you do not need to include a bibliography. For the visual aid, if you are taking a photograph or a chart directly from someone else, you should directly underneath the photo or chart put the bibliographic information as a caption. All right. I think that is all that we're going to do for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, always feel free to email us at masters@societyforscience.org. We will try to answer your questions as swiftly as possible. We wish you the best of luck.
One last reminder before you all leave, please be sure to check out the rest of our webinars on our YouTube channel. It will help if you listen to our former alumni and what they went through during the application process.
We also have videos on each section of the application. If you have questions on a particular section of the application where we go into detail about each question and what we think is the appropriate way to approach these. You can also find these videos in addition to on our YouTube channel. You can also find them in the Video Resources tab in your Fluid Review application. All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night.
Take care.